first EP, Paradise Alone, was recorded at once in Memphis. We did 5 days in Memphis. We recorded it. When we got back from Memphis, I was like, we should do more recording. So we did another series of recordings in Toronto that became Held Together. And then the Christmas stuff was just done independent, just in between playing shows in the summertime. It's always weird to do Christmas songs in the summer, but you have to because you got to have them all ready to go by, fall. And so all done separately. We had a lot of time off at that time, and Seamus started playing me some songs that he had written, and I really liked them, and I thought they weren't necessarily Sheepdog songs. So I thought, well, why don't we just get some studio time? We'll start working on kind of songs that were like outside the rock and roll box of the Sheepdogs. And so we just went in the studio with like really no plan other than to make a record and lots of overdubs. We used Seamus's trombone. I played some clarinet, different instruments. Just fun. We just love recording. And so, yeah, now we made a couple records and a bunch of Christmas songs. I really wanna show you. The simple answer is that the Sheepdog songs tend to be rock and roll, focused around guitars. And then Bros it tends to be more not guitar focused and more, around rhythms and roots and percussion and horns and things, but sometimes you have to choose one or the other. But definitely like I love her. I think Sheepdogs is kind of at its best when it's doing sort of a deluxe version of straight ahead rock and roll of like American roots music, but in a rock and roll kind of format. So, but we can dip our toes into other waters as well. Because music is so associated with pop culture, it gets married to these time frames and it's sort of part of the zeitgeist or the culture at the time. And I think about music less in terms of like being tied to culture. I think about it just like I like certain styles, as you would with like architecture or design or, automobiles or something. You just like a certain era, right? And so I just dig the sort of music that was prevalent in the 60s and 70s, those types of melodies, those guitar sounds, the way the drums sound on records. That's the stuff that speaks to me. And so we just try to make that music. And maybe it's having a moment because the greats of that era are, they're old. And a lot of them aren't around anymore, unfortunately. And so it's up to sort of like people who still love it to keep it alive and do their versions of it. Different ways, but the most common way is I will have an idea and I will take my phone and I will sing a voice memo into it. And then typically it'll be somewhere where I have to like kind of sneak off into a corner. And then when I have a chance to work on my own, I need to be alone. I'll listen to the voice memos and I'll just go through until something immediately stokes that fire. And okay, yes, this. And so then usually I'm like in the studio setup, I'll have like a simple microphone or something. I'll play a little guitar, play some bass, maybe I'll play some crappy drums in there, build up a little demo. And that really helps me to kind of see what's just an idea and what can actually start to form a song. And then I'll send it to the guys, and then from there on, working a kind of song. Only a fool would try to slow me down. I bring two of the exact same guitar, and I just switch to the two for tuning. And I bring an acoustic as well. But I think Ricky has stuff. Don't you dare spin me round. A very good performer, but he's also just a very selfless performer. He serves the song, and he has that gear in him where he can, shine and be the superstar with the, the guitar flash and all that kind of stuff. But he's all about serving the song and doing what the song needs. And that's what I'm a song guy. I'm a songwriter, and I love that. And I think he's been fantastic, and he's just a pleasure to play with. And I think that it just comes through, and I think we're playing better than ever. So yeah, he'd love.
Let's gas her up, we'll blow this time.
I definitely listen to new music, but it's typically like new music to me, but older music, and then that it came out years ago, but I just never heard of it. I don't discriminate against modern bands, but I just, like I said before, I prefer the earlier sounds. Um, yeah, I just that's what gets me excited is the older era of stuff, and yeah, I mean, there's some bands that are cool. I mean, like the Daptone label was pretty cool, like all that soul type of stuff, and the offshoots of that are interesting. But yeah, was typically listening to the old stuff.
This time. Find a place we can be
Well, it
found.
was doubly cool because John Fogerty is like my hero, and then we're touring Australia, which is where I was born and lived as a kid. So it was like this double shot of like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. Yeah, he was great, sang amazing. It was funny when we met him because like I didn't know he had an earring the whole time we're talking to him. I couldn't stop looking at his like earring as a what the. It's just like you never know when you're gonna meet someone famous, and then you just end up focusing on this one little insignificant things. It was funny.
No secret stars so
I think so. I think as somebody who moved a lot when he was a kid, I think it helps you. It gives you a little bit of an outsider's perspective because you're constantly changing, so you see the differences between people. And when you're brought into new schools and you're the new kid, you get a little bit of an outsider's perspective, and you're kind of observing the differences. I noticed that actually, like I'm a big fan of. I love reading, and I noticed that a lot of my favorite novelists often had lived in multiple countries or had like traveled as kids. And I think that sharpens their sense of observation, and I think that's very useful to creative is to just be aware and observe things and analyze things. And you can't really just go through. You can't really sort of coast through life when you're a new kid in town.
stars so bad. Feet marching on the
Well, we're still very much a Canadian band, so Canada's our biggest uh fan base, but really starting to see it here in Europe. For a long time, Spain was leading that charge. They're very vocal and they really packed our shows there. But on this tour, I think my favorite show is actually Stockholm. We only just started playing there a few years ago, and uh, man, they were so energetic. They were singing along. They were just bringing the energy. It was incredible. I was really blown away.
on the ground. So tired of being locked down.
I love Paris. I love France. I love we only did Paris this time. And we would have done probably at least one or two more other shows around France. Just with the booking, it just didn't work out this time. But we'll be back and we'll play more shows because I know some people are traveling for this one. But we'll be back.
Try to hide behind the smile.
Yeah, I've been in the Sheepdogs more than half my life. I think we're just getting better, kind of warming up right now.